Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today, we're gonna jump back into some Neighbors from Hell. Our first story comes to us from the Most Gravy Baby. Psycho neighbor barked at my dog this morning. Let's jump right in. My fiance and I moved into an apartment unit in a 3-story house last year. It's got a huge, beautiful patio and balcony overlooking a popular street. And that was sort of the selling point for us. There's a lady that lives upstairs, probably late 30s-ish. We'll call her Hilda. Why not? Laugh out loud. She's got a really cute Jack Russell as well. She doesn't walk him. I feel so bad for him. Just takes him in the alley, never with a lead. At first, she was friendly, and for the first 3-ish months, the property manager was living in the downstairs unit, doing some upgrades, whatever. She confided in us a few times when she saw we were getting on quite well with the property manager that he was weird and we shouldn't talk to him or have beers with him because he's not your friend. We thought that was kinda weird, but we still hung out with him because he's super chill, funny, and overall a good dude. By the end of summer, this nice couple moved in downstairs and the property manager moved out. When the property manager was living downstairs, he would take the bins, garbage, recycling out weekly. So Hilda approached my fiance and I and asked us to speak with the new couple to figure out a schedule between all of us. No problem. They let us know they get tags free from a friend and not to worry about them. They'll do their own thing and take their own garbage out. No worries. Well, so we don't see Hilda for a few weeks. I thought she was away, but you can hear people walking and the dog scurrying all the time. Normal big city apartment noises, essentially. So weeks go by, don't see her at all. We'd take the bins out every other week, but on her weeks, nothing would happen. I suggested we knock on her door. Notes can sometimes come across as passively aggressive, in my opinion, and have a chat. We went up one evening, but no answer. It feels creepy to say, but for sure there were people inside. She's got about 4 friends that practically live there in that tiny apartment, but no answer. Okay, weird, but whatever. I'm not joking when I say we didn't see Hilda or the dog for a few months. She works from home, so not crazy difficult for her to avoid us when we're home. So my fiance and I took the garbage out weekly. Otherwise, it would overflow, raccoons, bugs, pests, etc. would be around. I can't deal with that. She was still putting garbage in, but completely avoiding us, and now it was obvious. One time we bumped into her. I came home early and my fiance changed jobs, so his hours were different, and she zipped inside. She looked embarrassed when she saw us. So at that, I'm like, okay, she's obviously avoiding us. Maybe she's too embarrassed at this point to have a conversation because she knows she's wrong, kind of thing, like a kid. Eventually, the embarrassment turned into, I suppose, resentment. She started showing up a little more, but completely ignored us, or just gave us dirty looks. So freaking weird. She built a glass dome in her small balcony that overlooks ours, so I guess her dog can watch us. He just sees my cats or the dog or us and barks his head off. It's irritating, but I just feel bad for the dog more than anything. Cooped up in there all day long, never going on walks. She's starting to become more aggressive, which is why I'm writing this. My fiance was coming in and bringing his bike, and one of the cats got out. Our entrance is enclosed, so there's nowhere for her to escape. She just went outside, essentially. And Hilda was coming up the stairs and screamed at my cat. She said something like, "Get out" or "Get away," I can't remember. Poor pussycat, she ran inside. Another time, I had our neighbor from across the street over to smoke a joint. I've known her since I was like 13, so it's fun we're neighbors, and she aggressively bumped into my friend. But we just laughed it off, like, what a freak, right? We got fed up with the garbage situation, so we called the property manager and told him we've tried to talk to her. I left her a calendar once with a schedule, which she ignored, and he needs to step in. So he started charging her for him to come every other week to take it out. I think this has set her off even more. Yesterday, when my fiance was coming in with his bike, the dog came out to see him and greet him. Hilda apparently came bounding down the stairs at just that moment, aggressively of course, shake my head. She shoulder checked my fiance, and so our dog started barking at her. So she angrily started barking back at the dog, then swore at her. I'm getting so frustrated. She is so awful and so angry. We've never been anything but polite and friendly to her, and I've lost my patience. What kind of mentally inept person unironically barks at a dog? I don't like her now, but I don't blame her dog. I'm worried she's going to escalate and take some sort of weird action, like hurt our pets or something. I don't understand how someone can be so rotten and bizarre. There is something so off about her behavior. Didn't expect this to be so long. Sort of cathartic to get it out though. Any advice or suggestions would be greatly appreciated. Well, OP, in my opinion, this is a neighbor you just need to avoid as much as possible. If they do anything that escalates, get the police involved, but I wouldn't acknowledge her behavior at all. She's wrong, she knows it, and that's only making her angry. She's just gonna double down on it, but it's never going to be her fault in her own mind. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Continuing on the dog theme, our second story today comes to us from Ryan108XD. Bitter couple now records our dog walks. Let's jump right in. My dog never behaves aggressive with any other dog but our neighbors. Even when another dog is barking in his face, he doesn't show the slightest interest in them. Last month, while walking one morning, we ran into them and immediately they started barking at each other. I restrained my dog, but that only made it easier for him to wiggle out of his harness. I immediately snatched him and dragged him away by the collar. Meanwhile, the neighbor was screaming at us. After I got our dog inside, I waited for them to come by, knowing they would, since they were trying to stop me as I dragged my dog away. The wife knocked on my door with the husband right behind her. I answered and was apologetic, making sure they were okay before addressing the situation. By no means was I trying to avoid responsibility. Disregarding my complete cooperation, they went immediately with having my dog put down and having me cover vet bills. Obviously, I got heated but kept my composure as long as I could until I realized this was going nowhere. Before I demanded they leave my property, they let it slip that they talked to my wife previously about our dog's behavior. The only conversation I recalled was threat to mace our dog. Once I got them away, I asked my wife if she had any other conversations with them, and she confirmed it was just that threat. That weekend, we had a talk with the HOA president and a board member. The neighbor filed a complaint, and I'm pretty sure told everyone else our dog is dangerous. Unsurprisingly, our dog was well behaved with the president and HOA member. They explained that there was a complaint about my dog and that they wanted to see him themselves. They both mentioned how he is a good boy, and the member even questioned whether the neighbor may have been at fault. I then explained what happened with the dog's chest harness and how I am willing to do whatever to make it right. Weeks later, we haven't had any other visits. Since the incident, I've been making sure to take the dog out earlier and later than usual. Sometimes I'll even take him out in my car to the nearby field to let him do his business. It's inconvenient, but knowing I'll sooner get into a lawsuit than receive cooperation from our neighbors, it'll have to work. We haven't had any further problems or encounters with the neighbors until recently. My wife walked our dog early in the morning to find the neighbor's wife recording her as she walked our dog. Apparently, our neighbor has been doing this for the last week and has even recorded my 16-year-old brother-in-law. HOA can't do anything about it, and so far, all they've done that I know of is this and some dirty looks. I would appreciate any advice about what I should do. My wife and I worked hard to own our own house at our age, 21 and 20, and we'd just like to live in it without the feeling of being watched constantly. It was mentioned in the comments that OP is at fault for the first interaction because the harness didn't fit properly, allowing the dog to get out and become a threat. Now, they probably shouldn't be recording you when you're out taking the dog for walks, but I can understand if they're feeling a bit apprehensive when they see your dog. I mean, your dog got loose and caused a problem. That can be a little traumatic. In the interest of avoiding any more confrontation, if you see them out, I'd just turn around and walk the other way with the dog. And make sure you get a properly fitting harness that your dog can't wiggle its way out of. So apparently dog stories are very common on Neighbors from Hell. Our third story today comes to us from Available Yogurt 83, Hounds from Hell. Let's jump right in. We have two adjacent yards of dogs next to us that bark at each other most days and nights, even into the ungodly hours of the morning sometimes. and the owners are somehow still oblivious years later. The yard next to us got their dog shortly after we moved in. The house kitty corner from us has a small, medium, and large dogs, some of which are debarked, so that adds a nice hacking undertone to the daily cacophony of mutts. They are a cop family and can snake out of any animal control calls via their connections to the city. I've been working in the yard before or taking the cats out, and they'll come running out and bark up a storm for no other reason, either at the cat or at the fence, trying to get a response from the other dogs. Multiple occasions I've said, shut the F up, or something similar at the dogs, right? So the lady owner hates my guts because she was standing out there some of those times, and she fully believes I am in the wrong for being annoyed by her dogs, I think. They've got no respect for the neighborhood, and when you could easily look up how to train your dog to stop barking for free, there's no excuse. One day, I was watching one of our cats, Polly, while she was outside in the yard and dipped down into a trench next to the house to smoke some bowls real quick. We were redoing the foundation at the time, trenches around part of the house, some nice chunks of cement to sit on, and privacy from the old bee next door staring. So, mid-smoke, I hear her let her dogs out on the porch. I keep smoking and hope they will stay chill. She then proceeds to start talking crap about me to her dogs while I'm still in earshot. But she doesn't know I'm there, about 20 feet away from her, out of sight, basically underground. Says some dumb stuff to the extent of, "It's okay, boys, that nasty young man isn't here to tell you off. You can be out here too in your own yard." Just dumb, petty crap, laugh out loud. I had this moment of asking myself, no way is this happening right now. This is a perfect opportunity to F with her. So then I pop my head out of the trench and say, "Peekaboo S." She turns right the F around and waddles inside. After that, she's been pulling this stupid game where I'm minding my own damn business and she'll walk out with her dogs loudly, on purpose, say, "It's okay, boys," like I'm some kind of threat or something. It's so effing stupid, laugh out loud. The dogs got along with me too before I started telling them to STFU. They're too used to never being punished at all. More stories relating to their lack of discipline. Like 5 times at least since they got those poodles next door, they've escaped the house and ran down the street, gone. Owners are calling and the dogs ignore it. One time, the dogs even plowed down the lady owner running through the house apparently, and she fell some way that ended up breaking her hip or something. They're effing nuts over there, and somehow the owners haven't thought of training yet. They're not broke or anything, so I don't understand what's going on in their heads, or lack thereof. At least I have some benefits from living next to them in the form of occasional entertainment, which partially makes up for the barking, but otherwise it's pretty annoying. Anyway, does anyone have advice on how to shut them up legally? Hooking up a speaker to play a dog whistle at them is too much work. Well, OP, if you're willing to spend a little bit of money, there was a comment down below your story that said you can buy this really neat dog silencer. It emits a tone and will make the dogs learn that when they bark, they hear the tone, they don't like the tone, so they'll stop barking. Not quite sure how humane it is, but it's an option. Your other option is just to get an air horn, and every time the dog barks, honk. That last one is also super effective when your neighbor tries to talk, just saying. Our last story today comes to us from Miko Mania, Kids Targeting My Service Dog. Let's jump right in. I've posted before about my terrible neighbors being regular crappy, but they have crossed the line now. The children of my crap neighbors have previously let my service dog out of my house and have been in my front garden and trying my door handle again. Now it's locked permanently and there is a camera. They have started to climb my back fence. They've not managed to get over it, but have been hanging off it and shouting at me and my dog. My dog has been very patient with them, but finally ran and barked at them, which I thought would get them to stay away. Now there are stones being thrown over the fence, presumably at my dog who spends a lot of time there, and possibly at my house as well. My housemate also has a very small cat who could be seriously hurt by this. These kids have already broken a neighbor's fence from climbing it, and I'm concerned about broken fences or windows if stones are now involved, in addition to possible injury to my animals. I am UK based and would appreciate any advice on my next steps to combat this. The UK equivalent to CPS and the police have already been contacted about this family for other reasons several times, with little effect. For now, I'm keeping the animals inside, setting up a camera to cover the back garden, and ordering those bird stopper spikes to place on the top of the fence. Update: I've reported it to the police and the council. Who knows if it'll do anything, but let's hope. Update 2: the kids were climbing the fence again, but this time I recorded them on my security camera. Thankfully, the dog was inside, so no temptation to throw stones or anything. Update 3: neighbors depotted a plant from our front garden and left it tipped over on our front path in full view of our security cam. We even have a CCTV sticker in our window. Best part is, they left the empty pot next to their bins, which have their house number painted on. I'm actually impressed. OP, in my opinion, this is definitely a case where you need to get the police involved again. There should be charges pressed. They're purposely trying to injure your pets, and they're trying to damage your property. I'm not exactly sure what the laws are over in the UK because I'm not from there and I've never been there, but it is definitely time to speak to somebody who is an authority and can help you out in this situation. Check out all 4 OPs at the links in the description down below. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.